Hello everyone, this is Clint from Clint's Permaculture Garden. This is the part of the video where I show you how you can realistically, in real world money, make $60 an hour, $120 an hour by using things in permaculture that we understand but for some reason gets lost when people go out and use it in the real world. Now you see these clumps of grass? That is monkey grass. When I bought the house I'm sitting behind, it's now where I keep the ducks. They look pretty ratty. They've naturalized all over this yard, and I've seen this all over the place. And it can be any type of variety of plant, so don't get caught up on if you have monkey grass or not. But this monkey grass is growing up in the grass. The chickens and the ducks are not eating it, and so I'm like thinking, well, that's very interesting. So I'm going around, and I've been watching this stuff now for 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm going to use it for an edge, but I want to show you what I'm doing with it. I can dig this up in 3 seconds, and I can pot it. And I'm going to show you what I've done in less than an hour with this and how anybody can make money if they think like a permaculturist entrepreneur instead of just a technician. What you see here is me just taking the spade shovel. The day before I dig it, I take some duck water and I pour over them so the ground is softer. And then I just come through with that little shovel and I put them in soil. I filled the pots up because I had all that ready to go. I put the plants in there. I pack around them, done. Now I'm gonna water them with my misting system, but I'm gonna go ahead and water these today. And then I've got plans for this, which I'll explain here in a minute. And I'll explain how something as simple as this is how a person in the real world with real money in real value can make $60 to $120 to even about $200 an hour if they wanted to, by understanding the resources that are everywhere and how valuable they really are. Now this may be foggy, I'm not sure. I just came in, it's early morning, we've had a lot of fog. I'm in the south, guys, it's real high humidity. I can't tell if my screen that I'm looking at is just foggy or actually the lens is foggy. So if it is, excuse it. But what you just saw was monkey grass. And you may be thinking, that's not a permaculture plant. Well, it absolutely is if you design it right in your system. If you've got a lot of beds or a grouping of beds like I've done, and you can go and you can put the rock borders and the logs and all that, a lot of energy spent on that. A lot of energy is the upkeep to keep that edge clean from where you want it out. And I've been looking at a lot of the older gardens around here in Tennessee, and they used a lot of monkey grass. The animals don't bother it. The mice don't bother it. The rabbits don't bother it. And it's really, really thick, and it makes a border when the Bermuda grass, aka Satan grass for where I live, it's almost impossible to stop. It puts down such a thick root system in such a shaded area for about 2 feet that it stops those rhizomes from going through. So it is a permaculture plant. But just by observing what's around you, now those were in the backyard of where my shop is now. So I've been looking at those and I've been thinking about it, and I decided to pull the trigger and started doing it. What you saw was about an hour. There's 36 plants. If you go by at any nursery, monkey grass, it comes in a little bitty 2-inch pot that's about that big around. It's got 3 spouts of grass on it. It cost you $2.49. Now with those, I could easily, those have been hammered by the ducks and chickens, so they're looking pretty scraggly. I've been walking on them. Within a couple of weeks, they're going to fill out nice. That's easily a $4 plant. Now, I'm not growing those out to sell myself, but I could. And once I get them established for what I need in my particular design, I can go then and take the root cuttings off of that when they start expanding and sell those even in a gallon pot. Because when you look at monkey grass, when someone's at a nursery or customers at a nursery and they're looking at that little 2-inch pot for $2.49, they know that there's going to be a lot of work to keep it out clean. I've tried it here. The Bermuda grass just kicks its butt in that form. But I'm going to let these grow out to where they get 8, 10, 12 inches tall, and I'm going to do my beds around them. Well, I can have monkey grass that size for $4 a piece, and it costs me nothing. It takes rain and photosynthesis and an hour of my time, and I've got 36 plants that I could easily, down girl, I could easily sell next year for probably $5, $6 a piece. I could sell them for $4. So 36 times 4, it's over $120 an hour in real money. Now, the problem is when people think about making money, they want to do an action and they want to get a check immediately. And that short-term thinking, and it's kind of funny to me how someone will look at permaculture and they'll think long-term, but when it comes to their own income or their own money or their own way of thinking about what they're doing, they think short-term. It's kind of schizophrenic. You know, we think long-term about commercial agriculture, what that's doing. We get upset about it and get mad about it. We see that down the road it's not going to help us. But when it comes to our own income and understanding and utilizing a true permaculture economy that we've all talked about and heard about in our PDCs, somehow that gets askew, and it seems very, I mean, it's schizophrenic to me how we separate those things in two worlds. Now, if I were to take those pots and let them grow up to they're in a full 2-gallon pot, I could sell them for $6 or $7. Now, I want you to think about the income from that. I've got no money in the plant, and if you don't have monkey, it doesn't have to be monkey grass. It really doesn't. But just around here, I've already talked to 3 or 4 different people that has it. They planted it years ago. It's naturalized in certain areas, so it's free. And there's all kind of plants to do this with. And even at our Dunlap, Tennessee library, if someone wanted to, we could go in there and talk to those ladies. They would be glad for you to probably take 700-800 plants out of there where it's just upgrown into their little landscaping thing. They'd be glad for someone to do that for free. But you got to think like an entrepreneur. And when you think like an entrepreneur, you see different things that are hands down opportunities. Most people just don't act on them. And then when someone does act on them, well, that was smart or neat, or I should have did that. If you're going to be in permaculture and you're going to try to make income or at least pay for your property, I mean, that's the basis of being sustainable. It needs to pay for itself. So if you're going to put in beds and then you're going to put a border around it of something, it could be comfrey, it could be catmint, I've used that a lot, it could be the monkey grass, it could be whatever grows in your area. When that plant grows out, you spent money on that plant, you can divide that every year. So your original cost in 4 or 5 years is zero. That's true sustainability when it comes to a business model or when it comes inside your permaculture. So that's how it's so simple. And I didn't spend more than an hour doing that. Now, if I was going to sell that in my backyard permaculture nursery, the monkey grass like that, if I was going to do it like the nurseries that I don't really care for that sell everything through the mail with these little bitty cuttings only, every one of those I could easily get, even some of those I could split up 4 or 5 different times and probably get, for what you buy in a nursery for $2 a piece, I could have 200 plants just out of those 36. I could sell them direct mail through the internet with a mail order, bare root in the spring for $1, $1.50 a piece on eBay, whatever. So making money is not the issue. So instead of permaculture always looking for a donation route or some type of grant route or something like that, it's time we embrace all the abundance that around us that it's asking for us just to utilize it. Because I could cut that back over there. I mean, the ducks are doing a good enough job. I hadn't had to cut it all year. But if I wanted to cut that, it would look like normal lawn. Those plants want to do what those plants are supposed to do, and it seems like they want to group and clump, so I'm going to let them do that over in my garden. But at the same time, down the road, the energy that I spent for the hour of growing that, and I'll probably have 5 hours of doing that to get enough of my plants out of my yard and other people's yards. That 5 hours of energy is going to be leveraged from this point out, because I'm going to take I'm going to take root divisions off of those, and I'm going to sell them. And when people come to my nursery and they see how I used it and I explain why I used it, and I've actually got real size plants they can buy for twice as what they buy just a few little sprigs of grass for, I'm not going to have any trouble selling it. So it always goes forward, truly sustainable, regardless if this is garden or not. You've got to think this way. So when I said you could make $60 an hour in permaculture, that's not a gimmick. That's not like, send me my money and I'll put you in a pyramid scheme or something. That's true wealth building, and wealth building is not bad. Capitalism is not bad, but that's the way that you do it. You take opportunities, you think like an entrepreneur, you look around your area, you keep an open mind, and when you see opportunities, you act on it, and you let that pay for your system, or you put that in your system so it can bring in income to pay for other parts of your system, your lifestyle, your house, buy more land, whatever it is you need to do. That's the way in permaculture we need to start thinking. Instead of donations, let's think using the sun and photosynthesis and a little bit of our own energy, and not being so wrapped up in the I've got to have money now for what I do right now type of idea. And when you do that, you'll really start to see everything that's around you. And that's when you start observing, and I believe become a lot better permaculturist than someone that buys plants, grows plants, chops and chops around the plants, and gets some yield from those plants. It needs to be a bigger system. And the country needs thousands and thousands of backyard permaculture nurseries for the education aspect and for the plant aspect and the quality of plant aspect. So that's how you make 60 to 120 and even more dollars an hour by using a natural system and then making it better.